Welcome back to Echo Talk, where we explore the cultural undercurrents shaping our world. I'm Sarah, and today we're diving deep into one of the most quietly dramatic shifts happening in modern society, especially in Japan. Why are so many young Japanese people pulling away from traditional work life? Why are full-time jobs, career ladders, and even family structures being quietly rejected by an entire generation? To unpack this, I'm joined by my co-host and longtime friends, David. Welcome back.
Hey, Sarah, always a pleasure. And yeah, this is such a compelling topic because what we're seeing in Japan isn't just an economic trend, it's a cultural transformation. And not just in Tokyo or Osaka, but nationwide in ways both subtle and shocking.
Totally. What stands out to me is that this generation isn't protesting loudly or staging mass movements. They're simply opting out, stepping away from expectations that have defined Japanese life for decades. And they've been called the Satori generation, right?
Right. Satori is a Buddhist term that loosely means enlightenment, but in this context, it refers to young people who've let go of desire, not spiritually, but economically and socially. They're not chasing high-paying jobs, marriage, or status. It's like they've said, we're done playing the game.
And for many of them, that decision makes total sense. The Japanese economic boom is long over. Wages are stagnant, housing is expensive, and job security isn't what it used to be. Add the stress of Japan's famously rigid work culture, and who wouldn't want out?
Exactly. It's easy to assume laziness, but that's just not accurate. A lot of these young people are incredibly smart, skilled, and even hardworking. But they've looked at the system and gone, this doesn't make sense for me. It's a rational rejection.
And let's talk about the work culture for a moment. We're not just talking about long hours. We're talking about service overtime, unpaid hours seen as part of company loyalty, people staying until midnight just because their boss is still at the desk. That's not healthy.
Not at all. There's a reason the word karoshi, or death by overwork, exists in Japanese. It's a real social issue. Young workers have seen older generations suffer, physically and emotionally, for companies that often show little loyalty in return.
And the emotional side is huge. Japan has incredibly high rates of anxiety, depression, and isolation among youth. The pressure to perform and conform is intense, whether it's school, work, or even just social interaction.
Which brings us to hikikomori, individuals, mostly young men, who completely withdraw from society. Some estimates say over 1 million people in Japan live like this, staying in their rooms, not working, not socializing, sometimes not leaving the house for years.
That's heartbreaking. But also, it highlights how urgently the system needs to change. If people are checking out completely just to survive emotionally, we've got to ask, what are we doing wrong?
Exactly. And interestingly, this isn't just about work. Many in the Satori generation are also rejecting romance, marriage, and even having kids. Japan's birth rate is at a historic low, and it's not because people don't want love. It's because they don't see a stable future.
It's kind of tragic, but also deeply honest. If life feels unstable, if work is exhausting, and if raising a family feels impossible, choosing to stay single and child-free is logical, even if it's sad.
And yet, this quiet refusal to participate is slowly forcing change. Some companies are now experimenting with shorter work weeks, remote options, and better mental health policies. The government has started offering incentives to encourage family life and support small businesses.
But is it too little, too late? Japan's population is aging rapidly, and if young people don't feel empowered or inspired to step in, the country could face a long-term economic and social decline.
That's the big question. But I also think there's an opportunity here, a chance to redefine what success and fulfillment look like. Maybe work doesn't need to be all-consuming. Maybe building a life around balance, creativity, and freedom is the future.
That sounds ideal, and honestly, it's a global conversation. We're seeing similar shifts in South Korea, Taiwan, even in the US and Europe. More and more young people are asking, what's the point of chasing money and status if it costs me my peace of mind?
And in a way, Japan is just the tip of the iceberg. What the Satori generation is doing, quietly stepping back, might be the start of a global reset in how we think about labor, success, and even happiness.
That's powerful. And maybe the rest of us need to listen a little more closely to what this silent rebellion is telling us.
Couldn't agree more. If this generation is brave enough to reject a system that's not working, maybe the rest of us can be brave enough to build a better one.
Beautifully said, David. Thank you so much for this incredible conversation. I feel like we barely scratched the surface, but it's a start.
Thanks for having me, Sarah. Always a pleasure to be part of Echo Talk.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us. Whether you're in Tokyo, New York, or anywhere in between, we hope this episode gives you something to think about. We'll see you next week with another deep dive into the trends that matter. Until then, stay curious, stay grounded, and take care of yourselves.